Polio. The name itself struck fear into the hearts of parents for generations. An invisible enemy that could strike without warning, leaving its victims paralyzed, deformed, or even dead. Before the mid-20th century, polio was one of the most dreaded childhood diseases. The earliest depictions of polio-like symptoms date back to ancient Egypt, suggesting the disease has plagued humanity for millennia. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, polio emerged as a significant public health threat, especially in urban areas. Improved sanitation ironically played a role, as children were less frequently exposed to the poliovirus at a young age. This left more children vulnerable to infection and potentially debilitating paralysis. The early 20th century marked a turning point in the fight against polio, as scientists raced to understand this mysterious and terrifying disease. In 1908, Austrian physicians Karl Landsteiner and Erwin Popper made a groundbreaking discovery. They identified polio as a viral disease, paving the way for future research into its transmission and prevention. Another critical milestone was the development of a method to grow the poliovirus in laboratory settings. In 1949, John Enders, Thomas Weller and Frederick Robbins successfully cultivated the virus in human cell cultures, a breakthrough that revolutionized polio research and earned them the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1954. Their discovery made it possible to study the virus in detail, understand its behavior and, crucially, develop a vaccine. Before this, researchers had to rely on infecting and studying animals, a time-consuming and less effective method. The ability to grow the virus in vitro was a game-changer, setting the stage for the development of a life-saving vaccine. The mid-20th century saw the polio epidemic reach its peak, particularly in the United States, where it became a source of widespread fear and anxiety. Summer, once a time for children to enjoy outdoor activities and socialize, became known as polio season, a time when parents lived in dread of their children contracting the disease. Public swimming pools, movie theaters and other gathering places were often closed during outbreaks in an attempt to curb the spread of the virus. Images of children in leg braces or confined to iron lungs, large cylindrical machines that helped them breathe, became all too common, serving as stark reminders of the devastating impact of polio. The fear surrounding polio was palpable. Parents kept their children indoors, avoiding contact with others as much as possible. The psychological toll on families and communities was immense, as the invisible threat of polio cast a long shadow over everyday life. Section 4. Science to the rescue, the quest for a cure. The search for a polio vaccine was a race against time, driven by the urgent need to protect children from this devastating disease. Two pioneering scientists emerged as key figures in this effort, Jonas Salk and Albert Sabin. In 1955, Jonas Salk developed the first effective polio vaccine, utilizing an inactivated or killed version of the virus. Salk's vaccine, administered through injection, proved to be safe and effective in preventing polio, marking a pivotal moment in the fight against the disease. Soon after, Albert Sabin developed an oral polio vaccine, also known as OPV, using a weakened live form of the virus. Sabin's vaccine, administered as drops on the tongue, offered several advantages, including easier administration, lower cost, and the ability to provide longer-lasting immunity. The OPV quickly became the preferred method of vaccination in many parts of the world, contributing significantly to the global decline of polio cases. Section 5. A triumph of public health, the end of a scourge. The development and distribution of polio vaccines marked a turning point in the fight against the disease. Mass vaccination campaigns by organizations like the WHO and Rotary International drastically reduced polio worldwide. In 1988, the Global Polio Eradication Initiative aimed to eradicate polio completely. Since then, polio cases have declined by over 99% globally. However, polio remains endemic in a few countries. As of 2025, wild polio virus is still in Afghanistan and Pakistan. Challenges like conflict, instability and misinformation hinder eradication efforts. The global commitment to eradicating polio remains strong, aiming to reach every child with the vaccine.